I'm going to start our grammar lesson today with a question. How do we become more fluent writers? Well, we know that fluent writing incorporates two things, a variety of sentence beginnings and a variety of sentence lengths. So we need to know some structures that we can start with that help us reach this variety. There are 4 sentence structures total, and we're going to talk about 2 today and 2 later on. Today we're going to talk about simple and compound sentences. First, a simple sentence. A simple sentence includes just one independent clause. That's why I used IC right here, independent clause. And an independent clause has a subject and a verb. So look at this sentence above. Americans eat more bananas than any other fruit. We have one subject, Americans, and we have one verb, eat. All of this stuff is just adding to our sentence, and we could go into more detail about what those are grammatically, but ultimately we have just one subject and one verb. Alternatively, you could have something called a compound subject or a compound verb and still just have one independent clause. Let's look at the second sentence. Stephen Colbert and Jimmy Fallon host talk shows. Well, I have a compound subject because I have Stephen Colbert and Jimmy Fallon. They're 2 people, but they still count as the same subject because they share a verb, host. So I still have a simple sentence. Next one. My brother toasts and butters his bagel. I have one subject, my brother, but he does 2 things. He toasts and butters. But it's the same concept. This compound verb shares just one subject, and this compound subject shares just one verb, and thus I still have a simple sentence. The second sentence structure that we're going to talk about is a compound sentence. And it's put together sort of logically. If a simple sentence is just one independent clause, a compound sentence is going to be 2 independent clauses, kind of like a compound word. The only thing that changes is what's included between, and we have 2 different options that we're going to go through. The first option that you have for a compound sentence is something called a coordinating conjunction. Look what I have here. They may take our lives, but they will never take our freedom. Notice that you have one independent clause here, they may take our lives, and we have another independent clause, they will never take our freedom. Now those 2 independent clauses could stand by themselves, but instead this author has combined them into the same sentence using a comma and then a coordinating conjunction. So notice that here, you have to have the comma and then the coordinating conjunction. As a reminder, here are your coordinating conjunctions. Fanboys. For, and, nor, but, or, yet, and so. If you haven't memorized those, I would highly suggest you do, because you're going to need to know them for compound sentences, and you're also going to need to know that they always have this comma right before them to join 2 independent clauses. The second way to combine 2 independent clauses is with a semicolon. So notice this sentence, the bear scared the campers. Perfect, that's an independent clause, it could easily stand by itself. Instead, this author has combined it with another independent clause. He was tall and hairy. That comma does the same thing that semicolon does the same thing that this comma and coordinating conjunction does. So it's just your decision as an author which strategy you would like to use. Let's do a quick review of these 2 sentence structures. A simple sentence is an independent clause, just one by itself. Remember, an independent clause has to have a subject, and it has to have a verb. It needs to be a complete thought, so we'll add that idea. It has to be a complete thought. Second was a compound sentence. A compound sentence is 2 independent clauses, so 2 complete thoughts that could stand by themselves, and they are joined by 2 different things, either a semicolon or comma fanboys, which fanboys is the coordinating conjunctions, and remember those are for, and, nor, but, or, yet, and so. Be sure you finish up that practice worksheet for our grammar lesson 2, and you can submit that to Canvas. If you need a more detailed review of independent clauses or subjects and verbs or semicolons, please come see me. I'm happy to help you remember the basics before we move on to different types of sentence structures.